from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to the Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ radio news and talk show in the United States. I'm your host, John Parker. My executive producer, Jim Pounds, is here with me in the studio today. It is Friday, and we end our weeks talking about culture and entertainment because LGBTQ artists, writers, filmmakers, and theater makers and authors are one of the most censored groups in America today. So every week we want to lift up their work for you to read, watch, and attend. What is on the show today? Speaking of censored, it's Banned Book Week, and YA author Rex Ogle is here to discuss. Plus, he has a new trade paperback of Peacemaker Presents the Vigilante and Eagly double feature. It comes out next month. If you're curious about that title, we're going to talk all about it. But up first, Hugh Nini and Neil Treadwell's 2020 book, Loving, A Photographic History of Men in Love, 1850s to 1950s, stunned the world with its hundreds of photos of romantic love between men taken globally over that 100-year period of the 1850s through the 1950s. They are now back with a follow-up, the aptly titled Loving 2, More Photographic History of Men in Love 1850s to 1950s, which features over 300 more photographs. It comes out on October 14th. Hugh Nini and Neil Treadwell are the custodians of the world's only known archive of romantic historical photographs of men in love. They were married in 1992. Neil works in the cosmetics industry, and Hugh is a former ballet dancer who founded the Denton Ballet Academy. He's also served on the faculty at the Joffrey Ballet. Hugh and Neil, welcome to The Gailey Show.
Oh, thank you for having us.
So I was so fascinated with the details of your archive, and when I received the ARC, the advanced copy, which I'm holding up here for our YouTube watchers, I dove into it immediately after I opened it. What I wasn't prepared for was how emotional the experience was going to be. I mean, I started tearing up at around page 20. Your collection is over 4,000 photos, so I'm curious about the emotional impact for both of you. What has that been since you found your first photo now to having 4,002 books?
Well, the emotional impact for us came over a 25-year period. When we published our first book, it had been 20. So we found our first photograph in the year 2000. And so we didn't get that wallop of discovering 300 photos all at once, not knowing anything about them beforehand. So for us, it was little emotional moments along a very long period of time.
So the book, Loving 2, has over 300 photos. How do you narrow it down? Like, walk me through your process of choosing the photos that you did, I guess for Loving, but now also for Loving 2.
Well, for Loving 1, when we launched that book, or when we were getting ready to launch it, we had probably about 2,000 photographs. And so to really cull it down, we decided we went through all the photographs to pick out the very best, which were about down to 800. And then we slowly chipped away and we started grouping them in categories that we thought might make sense for someone who's flipping through a book. So that was the first one. And then we did have a creative team who did some last minute choices to help us cull down. I know.
And then we re-chose them.
Then we re-chose some that we wanted.
Yeah.
For the second book, it was pretty much the same, because we had to go through and decide, are there new categories to look in that could, make the book a little different, or that something that was a category that we had collected different photos of. So it was still the culling down and going back and forth and saying, does this one go in and out and moving them in and off of the table that we were, collecting?
Does somebody have veto power between the two of you? In other words,
No,
we're pretty much on track with each other.
Yeah, and there, there's a couple photographs in there that I loved, and he was pretty lukewarm about, and vice versa. So yeah, it's very egalitarian over here.
Congratulations.
I feel like as a culture, sort of writ large, we're so programmed to discount and erase queer relationships from the past. I mean, I've talked to dozens of authors and historians and journalists on this show about they're studying history, and it seems to always be an uphill battle to get people to accept the very copious and obvious truths that, hey, no, this is actually queer. These are queer couples. This person was LGBTQ. What has been your experience as you're collecting these photos? I imagine there have been folks that have been like, they're not gay, they're just roommates. How do you, when you're looking at a photo, to go, yes, no, this is an example of romantic love from the 1870s, from the 1920s, etc.?
Well, we didn't go into it in the preface of our second book, but in the preface of our first book, we lay out how we don't describe the couples as gay. Personally, we think they are.
Interesting.
What we describe them as is two people who are in love with each other. And the photos very clearly to us portray the romance and the love between them. And we find that that portrayal is often found in the look in the eyes between the two of them. It's just, we call it in our first preface in the first book, we call it the look that two people have when they fall in love with each other. It's not something that you can manufacture if you're not feeling it, and it's not something you can hide if you are. And so that's our guiding principle for collecting the photographs we collect. Now, what the personal, intimate lives of these couples was like, we can imagine, and we do, but we don't take the step of labeling them as gay or homosexual, with the exception of on page 110 of the first book, that's those two soldiers from World War II did identify as gay.
Wow. Important clarification. Thank you for telling me.
It's an important distinction. Sure.
Very.
And in book 2, we do have some versos that share some writing that obviously states that they were gay or homosexual as well. So there's that.
Well, on the cover, again, for folks who are on YouTube, there's two men here, and they said they're holding up a sign, not married, but willing to be.
And it's, we got some controversy on that, but for the YouTube viewers, if you show the back of it, we have 5 photos of this couple. And on the back of the photo is the second photo of them, and they're gazing into each other's eyes. For those who are just listening, they're holding an umbrella and their fingers are overlapping and touching each other in a very sensual or just sweet touch. So the 5 photos tell the story.
We're talking with Hugh Nini and Neil Treadwell about their new book, Loving 2, More Photographic History of Men in Love, 1850s to the 1950s. It comes out October 14th. Speaking of preface, so in the preface to Loving 2, you recount a story where when you were promoting the first book and you were giving a presentation, and an individual stood up during it and asked you, do you two not realize what you've done? And it's a huge question. Can you share your response to that now that you wrote in the foreword, and how you were creating the second book?
Well, it was a little bit of an embarrassing moment because, as we described in the preface, we kind of it was one of the first public interviews that we had done because of COVID. A lot of things didn't happen, and we kind of went with this lighthearted delivery, and I don't think it went over well. It wasn't. We weren't callous in any way, but it just wasn't. We didn't realize that there was a very serious, somber and deep felt reaction happening out there, because we didn't have. It was COVID. Nobody, we didn't have we didn't have knowledge of a lot of things. So when this man asked us this question, he said, "Do you not realize what you guys have done or are doing," or something like that? I don't remember the exact wording, but it was kind of the first moment, the first wake-up call that we had, that a reaction was taking place to the book and the photos, obviously, that we were unaware of, because, again, like we talked about at the beginning of this interview, Neil and I discovered these photographs one at a time over a very long period of time, now 25 years. So we have learned and come to understand better, and I don't know if we'll ever completely understand it because it's not our personal experience, but people have related to us that this is it's a powerful moment in their lives to encounter this book and this collection, and that it means a variety of different things to people. And when we published the book, that was a very we didn't ever expect to be publishing a book, and we didn't have any clue what to expect. We had very low, modest expectations. So that this is, this book has turned out to be as powerful as it has is, a pleasant surprise to us.
I can't imagine that you expected you'd end up with an exhibit at Le Musée d'Art d'Histoire, the Museum of Art and History in Geneva, Switzerland.
We were at the Rat Museum, unfortunately, not the Histoire.
Oh, wait. No, I thought I saw that when I was reading in their exhibit.
Yeah, they're right across the street from us. But no.
It's where it used to be, and then they built a new building, but the new building was built in like 1890s or something like that, which is
No, but it's a very prominent museum. It's just a different building than the one in Geneva that you're describing. It's Musée Rat, RATH. And
Okay.
they did, the whole museum was dedicated to the collection. It was unbelievable. It was the most successful exhibition they had ever had, and that museum has been around for 150 years or something crazy like that.
Wow.
So yeah, it was quite something.
And it was really quickly. It was during Gay Pride, and Gay Pride Week, the parade ended when we launched the exhibition. Ended right in front of the museum that is across from the park. So the cover of the book was hanging off the side of the museum. That was probably about 10 by 20 feet. And so these two guys on the cover were watching the end of the parade. Everyone turns around and they saw these two guys looking back at them from like the 1900s. So it was very touching.
Wow.
That is amazing. We are talking to the authors Hugh Nini and Neil Treadwell about their new book, Loving to More Photographic History of Men in Love, 1850s to 1950s. We have a link in our show notes and on our website, and we'll have one as well on our Blue Sky for how you can get your own copy. We have to fit in a break here. We're going to have more with Hugh and Neil when we come back. Before we do, I want to share about our travel partner, Travel Marquette. And the reason why is that Marquette, Michigan has become a very special place for me. For the past 10 years, I've been going to Marquette at least once a year, typically 2 times a year. And this fall, you should head to the fresh coast of the Upper Peninsula, see the fall colors, and check out the local breweries and restaurants. I will be there next week, which is the same weekend as the Fresh Coast Film Festival, which is the 16th through the 19th. There is still time to head up for this weekend, and you can join the Upper Peninsula Rainbow Pride for their Fall Colors Pride hike on October 12th. Yes, I'm angry that I'm going to miss that, but I'm really grateful to be in partnership with Travel Marquette because the world sucks right now, and it's been so lovely to get in the car and drive up to a place where I can be myself, relax, eat good food, buy what some people say is too many books, but get back to nature to refill my cup. If that is something you would like to do, you can go to travelmarquette.com to start your adventure. That is travelmarquette.com. You're listening to The Gailey Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I am John Parker. We are coming up on the bottom of the hour. Jim Pounds, my executive producer, is here in the studio with me. And at a time when living and loving as a queer person has become more dangerous than it used to be in America, there is a new book that will provide you solace. It is called Loving to More Photographic Men, History of Men in Love, 1850s to 1950s, which features over 300 photographs of men in love from across the globe, taken over the 100-year period between the 1850s and the 1950s. The authors and curators of this book, Hugh Nini and Neil Treadwell, are with us here. Hugh and Neil, how do you find these photos? Like, are you just going to every antique store that you come across? Like, is it eBay? Like, tell me, what is that process of finding these?
Well, in the beginning, it was going to antique stores because we weren't on the internet yet. That was 25 years ago. And over the years, it's changed. We have gone to photo exhibitions where we've met people or to just photo gatherings here in New York, and then we have met dealers around the world with our travels that we've gone in Europe, that we get first right of refusal, which is nice.
We go to Europe because our closest friends are in either Paris or Budapest, and so that put us in contact with a lot of photo vendors that we discovered little by little over time. Sorry.
But it's still fun to go to flea markets and dig because you can find some really good finds. Of course, other people are looking since our first book went out for the same photos because everyone wants one. So it's changed the buying field a little bit, but Sorry about that. Uh,
Do folks send you photos now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
A little bit. There's nothing that we could use. Yes, sometimes they do. It's not been a lot, but most people reach out to us and have photo they want to sell, and yeah, we do
Oh,
that. Yeah, which is great. You know,
Yeah.
it's less legwork for us, and yeah.
So I'd like to take a minute to talk about creating and maintaining an archive. So like briefly on my personal story, I founded the Queer Armenian Library, which is the first digital library of books by and for queer Armenians. And it started in a manner similar to yours, where I was just like, I want to find something that represents queer and Armenians. And then after like 4 years of searching, I thought, I might have the best collection of books and no one should have to do this. So let's, create a website and a digital library. And then it sort of took a life on its own. And now there's like physical copies in Yerevan and at Oxford University. And can you talk to me about that transition from this is a personal interest to, oh, we've got a archive now and there's a responsibility and how we're like maintaining that and giving it back to the world?
Oh, a quick story. We were headed out to Europe on vacation, and it was the day before we were to leave. I think the conversation about a book had started already, and we had talked to some publishers. And for the first time, we saw our collection in a very different light. And I got on the phone and found somebody in Manhattan that had a big enough safe that could be delivered the following day before we took off on our flight, and threw everything into a safe, a fireproof safe, which is where they are today. So our perspective on our collection has definitely changed over the years. It was an unconscious habit or a hobby at first, and then it turned into a collecting process, and then it turned into, oh my gosh, we thought when we published the first book we would find out about other collections like ours. There have been nobody stepped forward and said we've got the same collection. So apparently we have the only one, and we are, as you said, custodians, and that's anyway. We're still in search of the right place for the photos to be safer than they are even now.
Is there like a special preservation? Like I know with newspapers, there's a special way to like store those. Is there a preservation process for photos, particularly from the 1800s?
There is. We're hoping we're doing it correctly. We have someone who's helping somewhat, who is our color separator scanner that's helped with the books, so that we do have a very good record of everything we have in case something ever did happen to it. But preserving it ourselves, we have them in acid-free sleeves, and they're stored a lot better than the way that they were prior. We'll just say that.
Yeah. We're talking with Hugh Nini and Neil Treadwell about their new book, Loving Two, More Photographic History of Men in Love, 1850s to 1950s. It comes out October 14th. I noticed getting about halfway through the book, your archive and the books also demonstrate racial and class differences. Like enslaved Black people were not allowed cameras in the 1850s. And for a long time, cameras were very expensive and cameras were not available universally around the globe. So there are, and also I was like, oh, there must be questions of, for couples who may have been like, do I even keep photographic evidence depending on, my home life or, wherever I happen to be in terms of my career. Your collection surfaces so many additional layers of history.
True. And you mentioned the photographs of African-American couples or Black couples. I don't know what the proper terminology is. But there just are very, very few out there for a variety of reasons, all pertaining to the time period between the 1850s and 1950s that is our collection. The 1850s was established because that's more or less the beginning of photography. The 1950s we established, and we didn't even look at it as a century. It was just a picture taken in the 1960s is very different from one taken in the 1950s. And so that's why we put a ceiling on it. But within that time period, we have come across so few photographs of Black African-American couples that in the book we managed to 2 or 3 or 4 per volume had enough clarity and to be included and enlarged considerably in the book. That was all. And those parameters also edge out the vast majority of our other photographs as well. Excuse me.
Well, the book is Loving to More Photographic History of Men in Love, 1850s to 1950s. It comes out October 15th. I cannot recommend it enough. Please go out and get your own copy. We've included links on our show notes and on our websites for you to get your own copy. You can head to loving1000.org. That's 1000 numbers, not spelled out. And there you can order signed copies as well as learn more about the book. Hugh and Neil, this has been such a treat. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, John, Jim. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we are going to take another break. When we come back, Rex Ogle is going to be joining us to talk about Banned Books Week, as well as a new trade paperback that he has got coming out in November. This show would not be possible. The only daily LGBTQ radio news show in America would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. Please, in this break, listen to who they are and reach out to them and thank them for supporting us, and even better, do business with them. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Stay tuned, more after this break. Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. It is 33 minutes after the hour. He's the award-winning author of more than 100 books, comics, and graphic novels and memoirs, including Free Lunch, Abuela Don't Forget Me, and reimaginings of the classics, like with Meg, Joe, Beth, and Amy, and Dan in Green Gables. He's also written and edited comics at Marvel and DC Comics. On November 11th, he publishes a new trade paperback of Peacemaker Presents the Vigilante Eagly double feature. The collection is also authored by Tim Seeley and features illustrations by Matteo Loli and Mitch Gerrits. Rex Ogle, welcome back to The Gailey Show.
What up? How y'all doing?
Well, it's also Banned Books Week, and I realized as I was driving into the studio today, I'm like, I think we had Rex last year for Banned Books Week, and you're just going to be our Banned Books Week correspondent.
I love that. 100%. I am down.
All right. Well, so speaking of banned books, so new this year, I was pulling up some stats here. Trump signed 3 executive orders that were then used by the Department of Defense to pull nearly 600 books from schools on military bases, while simultaneously, the U.S. Department of Education said book bans are a hoax and axed a federal position that was investigating them throughout the country. Within the past year, the states Utah and South Carolina created state-mandated, quote, no read, end quote, lists of books. In the previous school year, 2024-2025, according to PEN America, nearly 4,000 books were banned. And of course, they just always happen to be books by Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as queer authors. It's just, go figure that it's always us that are on those lists.
Gross.
Rex, talk to us about what you are doing this year around promoting awareness and helping to stop these book bans.
So, I'm trying to, here's the thing. I'm not going to say who, but there was a wonderful, lovely organization that sent me 2 years ago to speak about banned books. And I got on the plane. I went to Salt Lake City, ? I don't know. I book travel brain is, yeah. Anyways, I got there and I was like, why did I come all the way out here to talk to people who are against banning books? Like, I want them to send me somewhere to talk to the people who are for banned books, because those are the people that we need to talk to. Like, I don't want to fight anyone. I actually want to sit down, maybe have a drink, and talk. Like, I want to understand Why are you banning books? What is so wrong about reading books? I do not understand. It's so confusing. I grew up with it. Like in middle school, I think I was in 6th or 7th grade. I went to my library and asked if they had a copy of the Quran because I could not find it in the card catalog. And I was reported and called into the principal's office where my parents and the police were waiting the next day because they assumed I was a terrorist because I wanted to understand Islam. I was like, no, I'm just very curious because I was doing research. And it turns out that Islam is one of the 3 Abrahamic religions, including Christianity and Judaism. So I'm trying to figure out why all of y'all hate each other.
Yeah.
Reading is so important for so many reasons, not just for those 80s rural kids like me who were trying to figure out where my place in the world was. I was gay, I was poor, I wanted to learn, and books were my way to learn, and I was turned away at times, which is gross.
Yeah, that's a disturbing story. I'm curious. So, in those conversations with folks, what are the responses that you're getting?
Here's the thing. I think it comes down to one thing, and maybe it's not. Maybe I'm being myopic, but I think adults want to ban books from kids because they do not want to have difficult conversations with them. Like, rather than talk about the Holocaust, let's get rid of Diary of Anne Frank. Rather than talk about Black queer people, let's get rid of course, my mind just blanked, but it's like the number 2 banned book in the country. Rather than talk about transgender people, let's get rid of Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. Like, let's get rid of all the books that would engage us in conversations that we do not want to discuss with our kids. Like, that I think is at the heart of it, because they're not really going after books for adults. They're not saying like, let's pull these books from bookstores or Amazon. They're just going after books for kids.
You're reminding me of a story from earlier this year where Snoop Dogg was all up in arms because he went to see a Pixar movie or a Disney movie, and there were 2 moms in there, and one of his grandkids was like, how do 2 moms have a children? And he got all freaked out because he's like, I don't know what to say, and this is all screwed up. And I'm like, Snoop Dogg, the stuff that you rapped about in the 90s, like, are you kidding me right now? You're scared of having this conversation? Like, you're scared? Like, I could pull up some lyrics here that would be more scary to talk to your kids or your grandkids about than having to explain how, a kid can have 2 moms. It's bonkers to me.
It is. And I will try not to get on my soapbox, but here's the thing is that coming where I came from, 80s rural Texas, I grew up around ignorant people all the time. My stepdad was like self-professed. He was like, I'm an ignorant man. I did not graduate high school. I have a very limited education. I do not read books because I do not know how to read. He was very upfront about his ignorance. And the funny thing is, like, when he called me fruitcake or wetback, there was never any vitriol or poison in his voice. It was very matter of fact. It was often playful. Whereas my dad, who was a very educated man who went to college, considered himself more intelligent than most people, when he called me a fag, it was poison dripping out of his mouth. It was disgust. It was hate. It was, he's the one who booted me on. That's why I was homeless. Like, and at the end of the day, it's like, why do people not want to just have conversations? Like, I get it. You're passionate. You're angry. You're hooked on this idea that something is wrong because you don't understand it or it's outside of your comfort zone. Have a conversation. It's so easy.
We're here with author Rex Ogle. His upcoming trade paperback of Peacemaker presents the Vigilante Eagly double feature comes out on November 11th. We're going to be talking about that here in a minute. But you're a very prolific writer, right? Under 2 names. And so I imagine that you've had a book banned.
So unfortunately, I've only had 1 book banned and only in 2 states. Like, I just feel like they're not reading my books or else they'd be banned more. And ironically enough, it was one of my first books, or it was the first book under my pen name Ray Terciero. It was called Meg Jo Bethanemi. It was a modern day retelling of Little Women. Very vicious material, those Little Women. It was a mixed family. So the dad was Black and the mom was white. And oh my God, Joe comes out, which it's like, if anyone has read any journals by Louisa May Alcott, they'll know that she was like, I don't identify with being a woman. I was born in the wrong body. I should have been a man. If you read her journals along with her books, like, it's not just that I'm assuming that there was queerness in her books. It's that she did not have the vocabulary to express her queerness at the time. It's the same with Great Gatsby. Everyone is like, oh my gosh, it's a great American novel. And I was like, I 100% agree. And Nick Carraway was completely in love with Gatsby, who is in love with what's her name. But the thing is that F. Scott Fitzgerald loved to dress up in drag and hang out with the dudes. And his wife, Zelda Fitzgerald, was like, wrote it all the time to her friends in journals and letters like, I wish my husband would stop putting on dresses. And I'm like, ooh, Zelda was not down. I got you. Like, that's fair. But I love that this is required high school reading, that it's not banned, because people don't know that if Scott Gerald may have been on the queer spectrum. And it's so funny that there's these huge literary figures that are required high school reading. Meanwhile, we're banning books because people are a little more out and proud in 2025.
We discovered the world discovered, not us here exclusively on the Gailey Show, that Pixar recently straight washed their film Elio. That originally Elio was supposed to be a gay kid, and that was denoted by having a poster on his wall. And the Pixar execs got all freaked out about it. They said no. The director departed the project. America Chavez.
Marvel Comics.
Not America Ferrera departed the project in protest over the firing of the director. And where I'm going with that is that because you have a very unique experience having, YA author, middle school author, but also with DC and Marvel. I'm curious, if we see companies like Pixar shying away from queer content right now, have you seen that in Marvel and DC?
I would actually say it's the opposite. Like, if you look at DC Comics right now, Superman's son is gay. Tim Drake is bisexual. There is so much queer culture going on at DC that I'm actually like, I don't know. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman all have queer characters in their lives. I was like, I want to see the statistics on this. Like, is this accurate? And here's the thing. I am all for queerness. I just don't want to overdo it in the sense, like, yes, we need queer characters, but I also don't want queer characters to become these stereotypes that are, because in my opinion, and to be fair, I have not read any of these DC Comics stories. I have not read the comics, so I cannot speak to them. But what I can speak to is the ones that I have read, and I will not name which ones. They're so one note. They're so like, I'm gay and I'm gonna walk in a parade and I'm a drag queen and I'm just like, what about just like a normal kid who's like grows up on a farm? And like, maybe that's me being like, I think that we contain multitudes and I don't want gay characters being pigeonholed as like they were in the 90s. Like, I grew up with Will and Grace, and I did not like Will and Grace because I was like I was super glad it existed, but it did not represent me. Like, I wanted a show about a comic book nerd who was gay. Like, being gay is like one of the least interesting things about me. I worked at Marvel and DC. I'm such a nerd. Like, I can talk about X-Men comics all day. Like, to me, that's like my bread and butter. But I like dudes. And so
the gayest thing about Will and Grace was Karen.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I worry. And also because there's a lot of straight people writing queer characters. And I'm kind of like, don't do it if you're going to make us a stereotype. Like, let's maybe get, gay people contain multitudes too.
Well, speaking of comics, you have a new one, trade paperback, coming out this November, and a certain James Gunn was a story consultant.
Yeah. So this started like 2 years ago, when I think Peacemaker 1 had just come out on Peacemaker season 1 on HBO Max. And I started talking with an editor at DC. I was like, I loved it. John Cena's so hot. I was like, I would love to write a Peacemaker story. And they're like, let's do a web comic. Well, then James Gunn he had to approve it because he loves Peacemaker. And then he took over as the head of the DC cinematic universe. And then he was like, well, I want to do a story. We were like, what? So then, of course, it became a print book, and it was just 5 issues. I did 10 pages. He did 10 pages in conjunction with Tim Seeley. And so, yeah, I will say this. Despite what I just said about making too many characters queer, he had already made Peacemaker very bisexual in the movie. Or, sorry, he indicated. There was an indication, and then there were some indications in the show. So when I wrote the comic, I leaned into it and had a great time. So it's very queer, despite what I was saying 5 minutes ago.
Well, as queer people, we get to do whatever we want. So that's the new rule now in 2025. It's literally anything we want. We are owed that. We are here with Rex Ogle. His upcoming trade paperback of Peacemaker presents the Vigilante / Eagly double feature will come out on November 11th. We're going to have more with Rex after this commercial break. Keep the conversation going on our Blue Sky. If you are on Blue Sky, we're at thegayleyshow.org for more queer, progressive news and analysis. You should also sign up for AM950 Radio's newsletter for more from The Gayley Show and all of AM950's shows. Go to am950radio.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and click sign up. You're listening to The Gayley Show. More after this break. Gayley Show. I'm John Parker. We're coming up on the top of the hour. Rex Ogle is the author of over 100 books. He's been an editor and writer at Marvel Comics and DC Comics. Also, doing a little research, according to his website, he's hiked the Kearsarge Pass in the Inyo National Forest and the Sierras. I hope I pronounced that correctly. His favorite letter is X. Good thing, as he's literally written the X-Men. And apparently, he's part of the conspiracy theory that believes hot dogs are sandwiches. It's too bad about that.
100% true. It's meat and bread. It is a sandwich.
I stand with science and the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, who say otherwise.
Well, I've never heard this, and I will fight you because the hot dog is a sandwich. I fight dirty. I'm from a trailer park in Texas.
It is not, there's no such thing as a sandwich eating contest, as the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council so correctly points out. It's a hot dog contest. Anyway,
in the diagram, a hot dog falls under the sandwich umbrella, but it is a hot dog.
It's been good seeing you, Rex. Goodbye. No, I'm joking. All right. So for some of our folks, unfortunately, they have not seen Peacemaker or have read the comics yet. So can you give an overview of both Peacemaker and Eagly for our listeners who haven't?
Yeah, essentially, Peacemaker is a guy named Chris Smith. He grew up very abused in a trailer park. Obviously, that's why I love the character. But it's because his dad was very racist. In the show, his dad was in the Ku Klux Klan, like super, super racist. Chris believes in peace at any means necessary, and he doesn't care how many people he has to kill or how many dicks he has to suck to bring peace. That is a quote from the Suicide Squad movie. So I'm allowed to say that. That's not my quote. That is a quote from the movie with John Cena. If John Cena can say it, I can say it. But I did lean into his open sexual nature in the comic book. There is a queer flight attendant who may or may not sniff his underwear at one point. It's the final battle.
Not his own.
Yeah. No, Peacemaker throws him his underwear while he's getting naked to fight the bad guys, and as one does.
Yeah, obviously. And then Eagly.
Yes, Eagly is his sidekick. Eagly is an actual eagle. It is not super powered. It is not super intelligent. Well, it's an intelligent bird. He's Chris's best friend.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah.
So I don't think, I mean, it wouldn't be spoilers to kind of catch people up to where the story's been, because it's a mini series
Right.
coming in there. So can you kind of give folks like the previously on?
Yeah, so
Peacemaker?
essentially this was going to be part of the DC, and then it was outside the DC, like the canon, and now it's considered Peacemaker season 1.5. So technically it's like a little story that takes place in between season 1 and season 2,
Wow.
which is on right now. And yeah, basically after saving the world, Chris, aka Peacemaker, is like, I need a vacation, and Eagly basically suggests Alaska, but on the way their plane is intercepted by a group of assassins that are trying to kill him and everyone else on board the plane. And believing in peace at any means necessary, he protects the people as best he can, and ends up in a fight with an assassin at the end of the book who's in a jockstrap. So you should check it out, because I mean, here's the thing: James Gunn let me have fun, and this is so different from what I write as kids' books.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a good time, and I did have a good time.
So so this takes place between both seasons. Okay, so it's not like this could end up on the screen.
No.
Plans for a second?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. You never know when these things happen. They kind of just pop up.
Well, a lot of the stuff that you're sharing there, I'm sure we've got a lot of people that just went and pre-ordered their copies.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is, and
Hopefully
here's the thing: I don't think a lot of people know about it, but I'm like, oh, the gay community would love to see this, because I mean, John Cena and his tidy whities on screen, I mean, it made me so happy, and I'm like, James Gunn, you know how to make your customers happy. So thank you for that. Also, I met John Cena at a book event because he did a picture book for kids a few years back. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Wait. John Cena did a picture book?
Yes. And he wrote it himself. He didn't even have a ghostwriter, which makes me love him even more, because so many celebrities are like, yeah, I'll just hire someone to write a book for me so I can make some money. No, he wrote it, and it's super cute, and he's so nice, and he's so giant. Oh my gosh, I'm like a little chihuahua around him.
What was it about?
I think it was a truck. I don't remember the book, but I remember exactly how he looked in his suit, which
Wow.
was basically spandex.
Wow.
I mean, so every muscle. Oh, it was yes, it was about a monster truck, and the name of the book is Elbow Grease.
Well, there you go.
There we go.
So, do you have any events tied to the I mean, yeah, it's book signings. Do you have any book signings, or I guess there isn't ratings of
No,
a comic
not
book?
this comic book. I don't think it made a big enough splash, but like next month I'm going to the Texas Book Festival and the National Council of Teachers of English annual conference, as well as some other library show. And it's great because librarians and teachers are fighting the good fight against banned books. Like, in the last week, I've gotten 3 different emails from teachers being like, I'm going to get fired for teaching your books. If you could write a letter to help me keep my job. And I'm like, please do not get fired over defending books. Do not do it. And they're like, but this is my job, to get important stories into the hands of those kids who need them. And it's just a scary time.
The upcoming book is Peacemaker Presents the Vigilante Eagly double feature. It drops November 11th. We've got links in our show notes and on our website for you to get your own copy. For the other 100 books, you can head to rexogle.com. That's rexogle.com. Rex, it's always good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. Anytime.
All right, folks, have a great weekend. Be sure to tune in tomorrow from 2 to 6 p.m. for all of AM 950's LGBTQ shows, and then on WCPT out Chicago at 11 a.m. on Sunday till 1 p.m. with your best friends, Scott and Ellen. Until Monday, keep it queer, America.